Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about my eBay sales for the month of September. We're going to take a look at the overall sales number and then my top 3 or 4 sales of the month so I can show you what I'm actually selling into this market. I feel like that's important as a Pokemon YouTuber that's telling you guys every week, my thoughts about what I'm buying and what I'm selling in a weekly style long form rant. I think it's also important to show you guys what I'm actually selling into this market. So I'm not just telling you guys to buy all the time. I'm actively buying and selling in this market, and I think you should be too, really, just as a way to sustain yourself in the hobby. So again, I'm all about transparency. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can with this channel. Again, it's less of what you should do and really just documentation of what I am doing. And I like to share that with you guys. It's more fun when you're sharing it with like-minded people and you make some friends in the hobby. It just, again, helps you stick around longer. So let's jump right into it. Total sales for the month, $7,105 over here. But again, this includes taxes on all of that. For some reason, eBay doesn't split that out. They do have the final net sales number here, but that takes out taxes, fees, and shipping. So this is actually the net number that comes to me. But $7,000 for the month and 47 items sold is actually very good. Again, on this channel, my goal has always been 30 items a month or 1 item per day, really. And I don't really have a sales goal number. I mean, I set one at the beginning of the year, like $50,000. We should hit that this year, but it doesn't really mean anything. If I list a ton of things under market, I can have a ton of sales. So that number doesn't really mean anything, but it's good to look at because I'm not really changing what I'm doing. So it just shows, how the strength of the market and all that. So that's a very good number this month because I haven't been selling much sealed product. So a lot of that is my graded plays. I did have my best graded return ever come back. So that really bolsters these sales numbers and helps them look much better than they are. But again, it shows you that I'm actually selling the cards that I'm getting graded. I'm not just holding on to all of them, despite how crazy this market is. Again, sales via fixed price, $7,000 and no auctions this month. Again, I've not had very much luck with auctions. Even in a market as hot as this, it still makes more sense for me to do it as buy it now. I'm not in a huge rush to sell. I'd rather get top dollar, even if it sits there for a little bit longer. I'm not trying to flip this stuff as fast as I can. But I can see the argument for that, especially in a market like this, but it just hasn't worked out for me in the past. So I've been staying away from it. The top sale of the month was this Unagaba set of Eeveelutions plus the Pikachu card in a sequential PSA 10 set. And this was really hard to let go of. This is such a cool set. Such a cool art piece. If I had a really good way to display this would make such a good display piece, especially if there's rumors of them coming out with a Charizard, because I think there's art floating around of the Charizard in this art style, and that would go amazing with these. But I think these cards will continue to do well going forward, especially, like I said, if they bring in that Charizard card. But even without it, these cards, again, Japanese grade super easily, so these make sense. This sold for $1,850, which is a huge sale. That's actually my largest eBay sale ever across anything that I've sold. And so this was a really cool one to have. Tough to get rid of, but again, $1,850, that's a lot of money. I can do a lot with that. So happy to move off of these. And you take a look at here, eBay and all that stuff. Shipping label was a lot because I did have it tracked and insured with signature tracking at the end to kind of make sure it gets there. And then transaction fees, which are a lot, but again, with eBay, they're giving you a lot of eyeballs on this product. And I probably wouldn't have sold it for this much outside of eBay. If I tried to take it to Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, any of those places, I probably still get more after fees, still over almost $600 after fees for these cards, and the protection of eBay protecting me on the seller side as well. So my opinion, I still think eBay is the place to be. eBay is worth it. I'm still trying to make it work. I've seen guys make it work in the past. A lot of them are kind of making pivots like Catch 'em All Collectibles, but there's still some guys out there selling on eBay, and that's kind of where I want to make my mark is eBay. I don't love live selling. I just don't want to have to be there for 2 hours every night selling. I'd rather eBay do it for me and sell it while I'm sleeping. So this one was a little bit more involved. There was some back and forth negotiating, but I think I had it listed for maybe $1,900, but came down to $1,815. Really happy with that one. Sale number 2 is this Miraidon Pokemon Center exclusive promo card in a Gem Mint 10. These Pokemon Center stamps are doing very well right now, and these are typically notoriously hard to grade because they came out of the Pokemon Center ETBs. Those kind of get tossed around, shaken around in transit and all that stuff, but sold this one for $703. Again, was back and forth. I think I had it listed for $750, but when someone offered me over $700, I couldn't say no to that. After fees and shipping, it was $602 to me. And again, I got this card out of my Pokemon Center ETB. My plan with the Pokemon Center ETBs was I would buy a case of 4, and my wife and I would open 1 each so that we each got to open a Pokemon Center ETB. I'd keep 2 sealed, and that would give us 2 of these sealed promos. I would grade them both and typically sell off the 10 because it's worth more, keep the 9 in my collection, as typically my collection is more mint 9 because I just don't value the premium of a gem mint 10 usually as much as other people do. Like this one's selling for $700 when the card in a 9 is probably $150. So in my opinion, I'll sell this off and keep the 9 in my collection. That's just how I've been rolling with it. But this was a sweet card. The first Pokemon Center stamp, well, Charizard or Miraidon, I'm not sure which one was technically the first, but these are really cool cards, and I love these Pokemon Center stamps. So you'll see in a later slide, I am still running this play for sure. But at $700, when I paid $60 for the box up front, $15 to grade the card, I'm in it for less than $100, and I, could get 6 times my money for that. It's a no-brainer to sell off this while it's hot right now and just keep things moving. Sale 3 is all reliable here. Celebrations Charizard. Now, if you know me, if you've been following the channel, you know I typically like to sell these in a lot with Blastoise and Venusaur. I can typically get more money if I sell it that way, but this Charizard here, I sold it for $450, and after fees, that's $375 in my pocket, and that's hard to turn down, especially when I had been selling these for like $200 and $250 for the longest time. All of the last 2 years that I've been running this play, the Charizard on its own was only about $200 to $250. So it made more sense to sell them as a lot rather than trying to sell this. But when I can net $375 and I'm only paying, $100 to $150 for this card, and then again, $15 to $20 for grading, this is a huge profit. So I figured, why not try to sell off this card while I can on its own and still have the listing of 3 up there, just for kind of more sales channels. I have one of these left and I'm holding on to it. I do want a lot of these cards for the Christmas season, Black Friday, and all that stuff, because I do think Celebrations, as we head into the 30th anniversary, will do very well. And with PSA taking as long as they are taking to grade cards, I've got a ton out to them, but it's just taking so long to get back to me that I'm selling through these faster than I can even keep them in stock. So it's a tough balance between, do I want to sell all these off, or do I want to hold some for the holiday season and the 30th anniversary? So this one was the last one that I sold. I think I have one more, but I'm holding on to that one. And then I've got one set of pens that I've listed at a very high price just to hold on to what I have here. If I get another PSA submission back and I get a lot of these, I'll just sell them off into the market. But with only 1 or 2 left that I have, I'm holding on to these, marking the price up, and kind of seeing if I can get top dollar for these for sure. And then typically I do my top 3 sales of the month, but I thought this one at number 4 was a very important one, just because if you're watching this video and you're watching this far along, I wanted to reward you guys with a little bit of a play that I think not many people are talking about, but I think worked very well for me. And that is the 2024-2025 illustration contest cards in English. I sold these as a lot for $365 in a 10. I graded 2 sets of these. All of the cards came back at 10 except 1 for Alligator. So these grade pretty easily, and I'm netting $300 for all these cards that were free promo for me, buying them off the Pokemon Center website. But right now on eBay, these are like $30 to $40 for a whole set, and you can buy them unsearched. You can just buy them in a sealed packaging still. And at that price, this makes so much sense. And I'm not sure if this was sold for so much just because I was first to market, but there really wasn't many of these on the market when I was looking. Someone made me an offer on this, and again, I was looking at kind of how many are left on the market. Should I even take this deal? But being in these cards for the $30 or whatever I spent on the Pokemon Center, again, they'll essentially 10x your money, not after the grading fees and all that stuff, but you're into these cards for, I guess, $60 after grading fees and all that, but that's still a crazy return for these cards that graded pretty easily. I will say that the Feraligatr and the Toxtricity, even in a 10, aren't worth very much, so it might just be worth it to buy only the Pikachu card and not have to grade the Feraligatr and Toxtricity, just because that saves you $30 on the grading fees in itself. But for me personally, I, again, want to be known as the person who kind of sells sets of cards, so I like having both of these, but in my next submission, I definitely have more Pikachus than the other ones, just because it makes sense. This Pikachu, I think, will do very well long term. The illustration contest cards from 2022 are super low population, so these ones are much higher, but I still don't think people are talking about these ones very much, and it still makes sense. There's definitely still money here. So again, as a little reward for you guys watching my small channel and sticking through it this long into the video, I wanted to show you guys this play specifically, because I think there's a lot of opportunity in this play still. So what am I doing with these proceeds? Am I rolling it all? Am I taking the profits and running? Do I think Pokemon's at a top right now? Is that why I'm selling everything? Yes and no. I do think Pokemon is booming right now, and it makes sense to be selling into the strength of the market, as I've been saying. But with the proceeds, I'm just rolling them right back into more plays. Again, you saw I netted about $1,500 from the Unagaba play, and then I can buy 2 sets of these cards for $1,000, and then grading them all, let's say $400 for the grading fees on both sets of cards. So then I would be in it for about $1,400 total, which is what I got out of the last time. But hopefully I get 2 sets of sequential 10s back, and then I can sell these right back into the market and kind of run the play over again. So that's really been my strategy with these, is to just keep rolling these proceeds into more plays. Typically, I've been selling these off at such a high price that I can turn around and then buy 2 of the raw card or raw card sets in this case, and just kind of run the play over again that way. So it just kind of builds my inventory, and I sent these off in 2 different submissions so that hopefully I can get 2 sequential sets. But if I don't get a sequential set in the first set, then hopefully I can get the missing piece in the second submission that I sent. Build a second set that way. But ideally, they both come back, and then I can sell them both for, again, $1,500 and run the play over again. Just keep doing that. But interesting to note here on the Japanese Unagaba cards, these were, since they were $1,000, I did get hit with tariffs on these. I had to pay like, I think $80 to the DHL company to deliver it to me. And that's just, again, the world we play in. But I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage as an English seller, because when these come back from PSA, I can label them as a US seller and sell them without the tariffs. Whereas if someone's trying to get the Unagaba set that's already been graded from Japan, they're going to have to pay tariffs. And I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage. So same thing here with these. Again, I was mentioning the illustration contest. I bought 4 of these still sealed packs for $111. So less than $30 per pack for these. And again, if you grade them, they sell for $300 a set. Specifically, the Pikachu is still selling for like $200 and $250 on its own. So these seem like no-brainer plays to me. The ones that aren't gradable, I'm just kind of setting to the side. And the ones that are gradable, I'm obviously going to be grading more of these, specifically the Pikachu. So that's the play with those. And then Celebrations Charizard here for $130. As long as it makes sense, you know, up to $200, it really makes sense since you're selling the card for $400, $450. So I'm still running this play. These still do well for me. And then the Miraidon Pokemon Center stamped, I'm still running this play as well. Again, for $150, if you can hit the 10. Flip side of this is, Parrish, why would you run Celebrations Charizard when it only sells for $450? When the Miraidon sells for $750, you're paying about the same. Why wouldn't you just run the Miraidon play? Well, 2 reasons. One, the Celebrations Charizard is much more plentiful. It's much easier to find these. Secondly, they grade a lot easier. It's much harder to get PSA 10 copies of the Pokemon Center stamped card, whereas the Celebrations cards almost always out of the pack, especially being a 4-card pack in Celebrations. They grade so much easier. The print quality on them is so much better. So I kind of like to diversify that way with some cards that are high Gem Mint 10 rate, but then I like the moonshot of the Miraidon, because again, at $700, when I paid $60 for the card, that gives me a lot of profit to work with. So even if this card comes back a 9 and I have to sell it into the market as a 9, you know, I've already made my money from that play. So this is essentially just with house money. So this just shows, again, what I'm actually buying. And I think that's very important. If I'm going to be telling you guys or giving market commentary every week on this stuff, I think it's important that you guys see what I'm actually buying and what I'm actually selling. So that's all I've got for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know in the comments if you made it all the way to the end. Are you buying or selling in this Pokemon market? Again, I think you should be doing both personally, because I think no matter if the market's up or down, you can find a way to make money as long as you stay engaged in the hobby and you are buying and selling at the same time. I think there's a way to make it in every market. So with the market being this strong, I do think it's a very good time to be selling some of your stuff. So that's exactly why I'm selling some of my stuff. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, like the video. It goes a long way for the algorithm. But subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I do weekly Pokemon card market update, and then I go through all my sales, trying to be as transparent as possible with my Pokemon card journey. So if you're into that, I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next video, and peace.